Hi all. Okay, so the next part we're going to talk about Bitcoin. So right up front here, I want to say I'm no expert on this topic. I just want to put out this quick video to help the other beginners save time. This text file that we'll go over, I will upload to my website here, so you don't have to write down the links and things like that. So I have not done a thorough study into every link, but I'm just listing them for your reference. As I've researched this topic, I've bumped into a few good things, and I just put them in this text file. It seems like most of my videos now, I'm doing this type of thing. I outline it inside of a text file so I don't miss anything. So from an education point of view, I think it works pretty good. So we're going to talk Bitcoin, but we're mainly talking from a programming point of view. But I just want to do a quick overview of what it is. I'm not going to go into great detail here because I figure you probably watched a lot of other videos on that type of thing. But just for the sake of completeness, I want to skim over some of this stuff. When I first thought about doing this video, I only wanted it to be like 5 minutes long, 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the most. As I started outlining it, it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's like I would add things to it. Well, I got to say something about this, I got to say something about this. I've actually taken a lot out, so it's just a brief overview. Okay, so when it comes to Bitcoin from a programmer's point of view, you can actually download the code, and the code is called Core, Bitcoin Core, and there's an actual version number. I got the exact version down below. I think this is April 2018. I think they're at version 16. We'll talk more about that later. But so what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is what they call a cryptocurrency. It's digital money for geeks. When they first invented it, that's the way it was described. It's used on the internet. It's a virtual money. There's no physical form. So like I can't actually hand you a piece of paper or a coin, like a dollar bill or a quarter. You know, it's all in a digital form. So Bitcoin is just an app. It's an app created using blockchain coding techniques. Okay, so I did watch a video earlier, and take this with a grain of salt, but the fella did say that it is being used a lot, and I think he said it's like billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin being circulated. You can buy a lot of things with Bitcoin now, just like you would regular cash. So it's been around about 10 years, maybe a little more. So it's definitely matured over the years. So the main thing is you have a Bitcoin transaction. Just like you would have your checking account. You write a check and you write down the transaction in your checkbook. Date, the amount, the person that you wrote the check to. And when Bitcoin writes that down, it writes it to what they call a ledger. That's the common phrase. That's the common word you'll see used a lot in this stuff. Bitcoin transactions are written to the ledger. Okay? So transactions are like your checking account transactions. Okay, so I started thinking about that, from a programmer's point of view. How is that being written to your hard drive? What is that ledger? Is it a notepad file? Is it a DAT file? What, right? So I found this online. The ledger is just a special kind of database. DBMS. The first D is for distributed. So it's a distributed database management system. Okay? And it's a special kind of database that only permits a few things to occur on it. If you understand SQL, it doesn't accept all of the SQLs from what I gather. So this ledger, it's written to level DB. That's the name of the database. So it's just a database file that's limited, and by convention they call it a ledger. Bitcoin was invented by this fella here, Satoshi Nakamoto. He came out with a white paper. The name of the white paper is Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. So this peer-to-peer thing, that's the very important part. Peer-to-peer means computer to computer. From your home computer to your buddy's home computer, and so on. Peer-to-peer. You can find that white paper all over the internet. Here's a link to it. And I also have a copy of it here. Okay, so I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but I just wanted to give you an idea of what it looks like. It's only 9 pages. It's a high-level overview. I'll upload all these items to that website I pointed to earlier. Let's just run through this first paragraph here. He brings up a couple good points. So, a purely peer-to-peer version of electronic cash. Would allow online payments to be sent directly from one party to another without going through a financial institution. Doesn't have to go through a bank. Doesn't have to go through PayPal. Digital signatures provide part of the solution. In the blockchain, your information is encrypted. But the main benefits are lost if a trusted third party is still required to prevent double spending. So this double spending part, that was probably the main thing that allowed Bitcoin to work. You know, like I said, I'm no expert on this stuff, but from what I have read, they've tried to do this type of thing in the past and they couldn't get it to work because of the double spending. You know, if I have an electronic dollar, I could use it here and I could use it there. There was no way to keep track of it. Where Satoshi figured out how to prevent the double spending. So here he says, we propose a solution to the double spending problem using a peer-to-peer network. The network timestamps transactions by hashing them into an ongoing chain of hash-based proof of work, forming a record that cannot be changed without redoing the proof of work. Okay, so you can go ahead and read through that. I don't want to get into the details. I just want to point you to some of this stuff. Okay, so just to run down through this to give you a look at it. This here would be the main thing. When people talk about blockchains, this is the main diagram that usually comes up. Okay, so just in case you haven't thought about it, you know, if you go to the wikis are a good starting point. Usually they're pretty good. I like them as like a grounding point. That way you get a good overview of what a topic is. So Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. A cryptocurrency is a digital asset. So this part here, these are usually pretty good. These are some of the main topics that they go through. Here's a list of the different cryptocurrencies. There's lots of them. I think there's like hundreds or thousands. Bitcoin is just the main one. Bitcoin was the first one. So you can see 2009 Bitcoin started by Satoshi, written in C++. And here's a few of the other popular ones. Okay, so that was the next link here. List of cryptocurrencies. And then here's a Bitcoin wiki. So it says here, Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency and worldwide payment system. So you can see, just flipping through here, you can see some major topics that that you'll need to study. Okay, so Bitcoin was invented January 3rd, 2009. Satoshi mined the first block. That first block, they call it the Genesis block. Satoshi has it set up where they can only create 21 million Bitcoins. And they expect that to happen in 2040. For a computer technology to last 30 years, that's pretty good. You know, that would be somewhat rare. And I think I saw a video or read something just a few days ago that said they're already trying to figure out a way to extend this. I guess it would just be in the code, just change the code. But I'm new at this, so take that with a grain of salt. I have a couple pictures here. These pictures are just screenshots from this book. I found this book online. And just to go over a few of the important parts here. See here, the world first heard about this thing called Bitcoin in August of 2008. Two things happened. First, on August 15th, Charles Bry, Neil King, and Vladimir Oaksman, three scientists, academics working in the field of encryption, filed a patent application for the invention for updating and distributing encryption keys. Encryption keys play a big part in how blockchain Bitcoins are distributed, you know, for payments. Second, August 18th, the domain names bitcoin.org was registered. So that's what, 3 days later. Something was definitely in the works. The big bombshell dropped on October 31st, 2008, when a paper titled Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, was posted to the internet. 8 pages. So here Satoshi was on something important, and on November 9th he registered Bitcoin project at sourceforge.net, the home of much open source software development. So that's how it all got started. And then the next picture. So 2009, the development of Bitcoin continued. January 3rd, 2009, Satoshi mined the very first Bitcoin, the so-called Genesis block. On January 9th, he released the first open source Bitcoin client. 3 days later, January 12th, the first Bitcoin transaction was recorded from Satoshi to Hal Finney. Finney was a developer at PGP Corporation. Okay, so this book, number 22, that's this guy here. It's only 40 pages. I found it online. So just by skimming through some of the chapter titles, Bitcoin, the future of currency, virtual currency, short history, how Bitcoin works, determining Bitcoin value, should you use Bitcoin, trading on Bitcoin exchanges, storing Bitcoins in a Bitcoin wallet, spending Bitcoins, accepting Bitcoin payments, mining Bitcoins, speculating on Bitcoin, the many risks of using Bitcoin, exploring other virtual currencies, pricing charts, forums, exchanges, wallets, mining. These are all important topics. You don't have to do all of them. It just depends on which area you want to get into. Bitcoin charts. Okay, so I bumped into this YouTube video here. That's the actual name. And the reason why I thought this was good was because there's a reporter in the video, and he said he actually exchanged emails with Satoshi. The reason why that's important is they don't really know who Satoshi is. It seems to be a fake name. They don't know if it's a fake name for one person or a group of people or organization. They don't really know who invented it. But this reporter said he actually exchanged emails with him. So it appears that it's a regular person and he just wants to stay anonymous. How do you get Bitcoin to spend it, right? First thing you need to do is to download a wallet. You download a wallet onto your computer. You can put it on your phone or your iPad. Go to bitcoin.org. That would be the best place to start. That would be like the main site for this type of thing. There's many different types of wallets from what I've heard. So your wallet does not come with a node. We haven't talked about those yet. Your wallet connects to a full node. Your wallet has a public address used by people to send you Bitcoin. Okay. I've heard that some regular banks will exchange regular cash for Bitcoin. And I did a search on the web and I came up with a few names. So that's something that you can research in your area. I saw one video and the fella said you can buy or trade with a person. You can do work and get paid in Bitcoin. There's Bitcoin ATMs. It's a regular ATM that you would go to. It says Bitcoin along the top. So here's a picture of one. So here it says in the US there's 800 Bitcoin ATMs as of 2017. Here's a video, and the fella goes to a Bitcoin ATM in a mall, puts in $20, and shows you how it comes up on his phone, and then he reverses it. He gets the $20 out of his Bitcoin account and gets the $20 cash back. So it's a really good video. There's things that are called forks. What is a Bitcoin fork? You know, here's a list of the forks. See, there's Bitcoin XT, Bitcoin Classic, Bitcoin Unlimited, hard forks, and then there's also soft forks. Okay, so I don't want to go into great detail with this stuff. You know, these are high-level topics. But in general, you know, what happens when a blockchain diverges into two potential paths? So what's a fork? Right? A fork, you know, a fork in the road. So here, for some reason, regular Bitcoin, you know, there was something about it that Bitcoin XT wanted to do different. So they used regular Bitcoin but then forked off of it. So they created a second one. That would be Bitcoin XT. And then it forked again to Bitcoin Classic, Bitcoin Unlimited. Forks are actually real common in the cryptocurrencies. And then there's the blockchain Bitcoin programming. My first thought was, with these videos, I wanted to get right into the Ethereum programming, and I just wanted to hit on the Bitcoin topic, just a little 5-10 minute video, just to give you an idea of what it was. But then I bumped into something that said we should study Bitcoin programming before studying other areas, because that's the basis for everything. So that really makes sense to me. You know, you don't want to reinvent the wheel. You know, you might think you're doing something new and revolutionary, and here you're just doing the same thing that Bitcoin has already done. So that makes sense. You know, I taught music for 8 years, and I remember I had one fella come in. He said, "I'm studying on my own. I'm doing it all by myself." And I, you know, he's a young guy. He's saying, "I invented a chord," and he just showed me a D chord. You know, he was reinventing the wheel. You know, so that's why it's good to study what's already been done. You know. Okay, so this here is a topic that you'll see come up a lot. You know, if you're into the programming stuff. They always say Bitcoin